I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is January 1st, 2016, and recently I had to go figure out how to get a Windows 2012 server dev machine running in OpenStack. What I first tried to do is I tried to create a VM in VMware Workstation and then use the QEMU tools to convert it to a raw image and then run it that way. And in theory that kind of worked, but there was one problem. The Windows server didn't have the right drivers to work. So it kind of booted up and then it died. That basic process will work with, I had it work with Ubuntu and other machines, worked just fine. But with Windows, it kind of worked, but it didn't have the right drivers. So I spent some time researching, looking around, and I finally found a few procedures and a few websites, got some information. I finally figured out how to create a Windows 2012 machine as a image on KVM and have that work. So this video will show that procedure. Before I get started too far down this road, I want to show you a couple of URLs that were pretty helpful to me to get this figured out. The first one here is this cloudninja.org, running Windows 7 guest on OpenStack IceHouse by Gregory Hayes. Very helpful, got me practically all the way there. I had a few more little things to look up, but this basically got me most of the information I needed. Another URL that was pretty useful to me on the VMware Workstation side was this one, nested KVM VM inside of VMware Workstation 8. And I'll put the links to these in the show notes. Additionally, I did take my notes on how to do this, and I did put a blog post on. And here is the link to my own blog post, which is going over maybe a little more detail than this, because I'll skip over a few things, and I should say skip over a few things. And this, I may have, I downloaded the Windows server in here, and I showed a little bit how to do that. So there's a little bit more information here, but this information should be pretty complete in this video. Anyway, enough for URLs. Next thing, I want to go a little bit over a few VMware gotchas, just in case you're going to run Ubuntu as a VM in VMware Workstation. If you happen to be running VMware Workstation, there are a few gotchas. So especially because you're running a virtual machine workstation within a virtual machine workstation. So there are a few little weird settings you got to do. So if you were going to make a new virtual machine, and I won't go through the whole process here, but I'll hit the highlights. A few key things you have to do. Well, it's probably a good idea to get multiple processors too, but now I actually only gave 4 gigs of mine because I only have so much memory on mine, so you can probably get by with a little bit. Here's where you have to do things a little differently. You have to select LSI Logic SAS. That's one of the things that I typically don't do that you do have to do for this. The other thing that you need to do for this, I don't really care about hard drive space. But when you go to customize hardware, what you have to go do is you have to go to the processor and you have to select virtualize Intel, VT, or AMD virtualization. So you have to checkbox that. Otherwise, it's not going to work correctly. So you're not going to have access. You're not going to be able to run VMs within a VM. So that's the gotcha with VMware. So next, let me show you how to install the tools for Ubuntu that you're going to need. Before I get started, you want to make sure that your machine has virtual technology turned on for its CPUs. Otherwise, you can't get this virtualization working. And you need to run. It's a good idea to run this just to check even if it's on your own machine, you need to check this. You need to check it even more so if you're virtualizing within a virtualization like I'm doing. So here's the command. You run that, and that'll return the number of CPUs that it has access to that I guess are virtual compatible or something. So I got 4. As long as it's not 0, you're good. Now this is a very fresh install of Ubuntu. I haven't updated anything, so I just want to show that I'm going to update everything and upgrade it all before I get started. So I may speed up the video here because who wants to watch updates, right? Okay, it's finally been updated. So now I've got everything updated, And now I want to install the tools that you need for KVM. And so here is what I've got. Let me cut and paste this so I don't mess it up. So we have qmule-kvm, qmu-system, libvirt-bin, ubuntu-vm-builder, bridge-utils, kvm, virt install, inst, and virt manager. So those are the ones I've installed, and that's worked before. So just run the install on all these guys. And this one should go, I don't know, relatively quick. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Not too awful bad. Now, at this point, I've run this a couple of times, and I kept having the same issue. Usually when I install a bunch of stuff, I like to reboot the machine to make sure everything is solid and nothing weird happened and no one put anything in there that was a temporary setting or something. But if I reboot right now, and I've done it 2 or 3 times, it screws everything up. And I don't have enough time to investigate what's going on, but the solution, at least for me right now, is to log out. So at this point, just log out of your machine and log back in. Don't reboot it. And then now I'll reboot it, but before I do, you can actually run a little command to confirm that the virtual machine stuff is installed and should be working. So we can reopen a terminal. And you can run this command. And you should get this result. If you get an error, you got a problem. But if you get this result, you should, in theory, be good. So now at this point, I want to reboot it because, like I said, I like to reboot it so that nothing weird's going on. There we go. Okay, so log back in. Slowly but surely. It's the joy of virtual machines. They're not quite as fast as we'd like them to be some days. Okay, so now that we've rebooted, let me open up the terminal again. And confirm again that this, just run the same command we ran last time to make sure that it looks like it's okay. Not a guarantee, but if that fails, you got a problem for sure. Okay, so at this point, everything's installed. The machine should be good. So our next step is actually to download the ISO. There's an ISO out there that actually contains all the drivers we need for Windows 2012, and I think Windows in general to work as a KVM. So let's go do that next. Okay, open up your web browser and head over to this site. Fedora Project, Wiki, Windows, Virtuo Drivers. Now I'll put this link in the show notes, but you go over to this page, and this is the only place that I've found, and I looked around a lot, but this is not my area of expertise. But basically you need like a signed ISO drivers that'll work with Windows, and this is the place to easily get it. So go down here, scroll down to, let's see, direct download, and here it is what you want, the stable Virtuo Windows ISO right there. So click on that and download it. I think it's about I want to say it's 150 megs. There it is, 153 megs. So just save it and let it download. Okay, now that it's downloaded, I kind of like to just stick it on the desktop just for convenience so I know where it's at. Okay, so there it is. Drag and drop on the desktop. Here we go. Now the other thing you need is actually your Windows install disk. And to make life easy, I just actually grab my Windows ISO, which is a trial version for Windows 2012, and just put it on the desktop. So I'll drag it from my machine here and just copy it over. And it's about, what is it, a little over 4 gigs. So make sure you have enough space. Okay, now I've got everything. So I've got all the KVM stuff installed. I got Ubuntu updated. I have my Windows drivers from the Virtuo, and they're signed. And I have my Windows 2012 ISO install disk. So I'm all ready to go. I just need to, the next thing I'll do is actually begin the installation. Now to actually install the virtual machine. So let's go up here and search for, it's the virtual machine manager. Come on, there it is. Okay, so open up virtual machine manager. And then what you want to do here is click this. Oh, searching for available hypervisors. This is where you're going to get an error if something's messed up. But we're good to go. So click on here to create a new machine. And we'll call this Win 2012 eval. And click forward. And then find the ISO image, which is on our desktop. So click Browse Local. Go to desktop, and there's our ISO image for Windows. Now, let's see. Good to go on there. Click forward. Now, for a bare minimum, it depends on what you're doing, but this is, if you're going to make like a base image for OpenStack or something, you kind of want it to go as low as you can go. And I was able to get away with 2048. On the memory. And, well, I guess you could, I don't know if CPUs matters or not. I put it up to 4, but I don't know if that's going to affect you. I don't have an OpenStack machine here at home, so I'm not sure how that affects you. You may just want to leave it at 1. Click forward. Now, for the size, that gets interesting. So I'm going to put mine up to 15 gigs. Now, if you're going to actually use this machine in reality and you're not going to do anything else, you're not going to base it and copy it and expand it or do things like that, you're going to want more than 15 gigs. In fact, probably a minimum is going to be probably at least 60. You probably more like 100, 200, 300 gigs for your Windows server. But if you're going to make a VM that you're going to use as your base, they're going to expand the hard drive out later, you can get away with 15. Assuming you're not going to install a bunch of updates, as long as you're not going to go through and update everything, 15 is kind of, you can probably get a little more bare bones than that, but I've had 15 work just fine. So set 15 and click forward. And here's the important part, customize configuration before install. So click on that and click finish. As it thinks. There we go. Now we need to do some custom setups, because we need to actually load those drivers and we need to use all the Virtuo stuff. So first, click on the NIC, select that, and then select Virtuo. I hope I'm not pronouncing that right. Wrong, Virtuo. Then go to your disk. Oh, you have to apply it. Sorry, let me do that. So click on that, Virtuo, apply. Go to your disk, advanced options, go to Virtuo and apply. Let's see what else I have. And then now you have to add hardware, because we actually have to mount that Virtuo ISO. So you go storage, we select CD-ROM, and select this because you need to go browse for that ISO. Browse local, desktop, and select the Virtuo disk. And click finish. Let's see, make sure everything's fine. Okay, so everything's applied, and so this is all you need for your initial setup. Now you just need to begin your installation, and there's a little bit to that. So let's start the installation. So to start the installation, click Begin Installation. Now I did notice as this starts up, it kind of makes the window small, at least on my box. So I kind of have to expand it out so I can actually see that it's actually doing something. And this part doesn't go, it goes fairly quickly. I can't complain about its speed at this point. for loading a whole OS up. Alright, there we go. Oh, one thing to note, if you're not used to virtual machine managers, when you're clicked into the console, like I am right now, I'm in the virtual machine, and I can't get out. So if you need to get the mouse out, you can usually do Control plus Alt, and you're out. Now also, if you get in here and you click back in, it lists it right there. There's Control plus Alt. It tells you up there in the menu just in case you forget. So now that we're in here, we'll go click Next, Install Now. There we go. So now we want to select which one you actually want to install. There's several different versions here. And I want the standard evaluation with a GUI. So select the one you want and click Next. Okay, accept the license terms, of course. And click Next. Now here's where you want to do something different. You want to do the custom install Windows only advanced. So click on that for the advanced. Now here's where you go grab all the drivers. And it's a little tricky because you have to grab every single one, otherwise you're going to mess yourself up. So click Load Drivers. Click Browse. And then go down here to your virtual disk right there. And there's several drivers here. We'll have to do them one at a time. So you go into Balloon for the first one, 2K12R2, and select the AMD folder. And then click OK. And then this should show up. So there's one of the drivers. And click Next. It'll scan it and get it ready, I guess, whatever it's doing. But that's the first of 4 or 5 drivers I have to install. I'll go through each one. So now that's good to go. Well, that driver. So click Load Driver again. Click Browse again. Go to the virtual disk again. And now let's go to the next one. Net KVM. Open that. Go to 2K12R2 again. And AMD64. Select that folder and click OK. And there's the driver. Click Next. Okay, now click Load Driver again. Click Browse again. Go to the CD, virtual again. And next one is VORNG. 2K12, R2, AMD64, and click OK. Now, whatever reason this one doesn't show up because it's not compatible, I guess. So uncheck that and select that and click Next. I'm not sure why it says not compatible, but okay. Now the next one, load driver again, browse again, go back to the, there we go. So VO SCSI 2K12R2, same thing. Click OK, and there it is. Click Next. Click Load Drivers again, browse again. You can see how much fun this is, right? Maybe there's an easier way to do this, but I know this one works. Now, VO Serial, 2K12R2, AMD64. Click OK. There's the file. Click Next. Okay, I think the next one's my last one. Click Browse. We've done the serial. Yeah, so the last one, VO Star. Store, I guess. Storage for storage. Click 2K12R2, AMD64. OK. Select the driver there, click Next. And now if this works right, I should have the hard drive show up. And then that's the biggest pain in the butt of this whole procedure, is selecting every single driver. And there's our hard drive, so yay. So select that and click Next. And it's installing. So let it go through its installation process. Forget exactly how long it takes, but I'll put a timer up for it. Okay, finally it's installed. So now I just need to create a password. Just creating a temporary something. It's going a little slow because of all the virtualization on top of the virtualization. Okay, click finish. Oh, not complex password enough. Come on. Password complexity. Okay, click finish. There we go. Now we should almost be there. There we go. So it's running, but let me hit Control-Alt to get out. And then up here, you should have a thing to send keys. So I can click on this menu and hit Control-Alt-Delete, which will send that to the machine. And then I should be able to log in. Let's see. Slowly but surely. There we go. Come on. Log me in. Okay, I think I got it here. There we go. So it's up, it's running. We can see this is an evaluation license, so I have 180 days left on it. And it's still kind of booting up, but it is running. And it's not barfing at me. Give it a second here to bring up a few more things. Oh, that's going to be it. Oh, there we go. No, don't find my TVs. Guess I'll wait for the server manager to boot up. But that's basically it. So run through that procedure. That'll get you to the point where you actually have Windows 2012 running on KVM as a virtual machine. It should be good to go. Now wait until the server manager kind of starts up. Now I'm not a Windows expert guy. I've used it enough, but I'm not a Windows server guy. So any detailed specifics on, I'm just not a Windows servers guy. If I need to do something, I do some research and get it figured out, but I'm not in the Windows server world all that much these days. Now the next section I'm going to do is in case you may be doing what I'm doing. You're actually creating these virtual machines. You want to move them. Like I want to make a OpenStack here at home here, probably in the next 3 or 4 months. And if I roll that, then I want to make these into virtual machines that will actually run on that OpenStack. So it's a good idea from here on to actually know where the actual virtual machine is, know where to copy it, paste it, zip it up, all that jazz. So I'm going to go over that next. It looks like the server manager is taking its time, so I'll just kind of cut off here and go to the next section. Okay, where's the virtual machine and how do you grab it and move it if you want to? So here I'll kind of take this guy and kill it, so I can stop that, and I come here and I can, before you want to copy machine, it may be a good idea just to shut it down. So I'll just shut it down right now. And I'll come in here and open a terminal. There we go. So now your virtual machine should be located in var lib libvirt images. And if I remember right, they are hidden. So Okay, so there we are. So there's the image right there. It's 15 gigs. So let's say we want to copy this and zip it up and all that fun stuff and move it somewhere else. Here's kind of what I've done. So what I would do is I just go make a directory, my home directory. And then what you want to do is first you probably want to just zip it up because it actually compresses. The way it's set right now, it compresses pretty well. In fact, I go about from 15 gigs to about 4. So I can just do a gzip -k Windows. Oh, well, yeah, let's see the Windows. I can't see it, can I? Eval.image and run that guy. It'll take a little while to zip it up. Okay, now that I copied it as an image, we can see there it is. So I'll just copy it over. Into my VM. Yeah. I don't want to copy move. Okay, that doesn't work with me. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now it compressed down to 4.2 gigs. I copied it over, and what you would probably want to do, and I had to do, well, it depends on where you are. Like at one point I'd upload this locally from my house, so it's kind of a big file for me. So I just split it up. So an easy way to do that, and I'll just show it real quick. You know, make a split folder, and then split it. And I'll do, let's see, split it into 250 megs, and that should do it. I can go see its progress here. Open another terminal. And you can see it, I didn't even give it a name, so it's just split it up into X, AA, AB, AC, and so on. So it makes it easy to, they sort alphabetically, so it makes it pretty easy to put them back together after the fact. So this should take a few minutes to split it all up into these 250 meg files. Okay, that's all done. So I just move. This is just me being anal and keeping everything clean. So now the files are in here. You can double check, make sure. Yeah, it's 4.2 gigs. Now, from here, you'd move it to where you want to move it, and then an easy way to stick it back together is just use cat and something like this: win2012 eval image.gz, and that'll stick it all back together. Simple enough. But then once you have it back together, then of course you just use gunzip, and depending on what you're in, gunzip, and then the file .gz, and that should get you back. Yeah, I just wanted to add that little bit just in case you're like me and you need to move it around. You just wanted the commands real quick to split. And anyway, so that's all done. So that's kind of it for this video. That's how you can create a Windows 2012 image on KVM on Ubuntu 14.0.4.3. Hopefully this helps someone out there. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com, View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.